Just let me know when you're ready to start and I'll jump in.
Okay, we just hit 30, so I think we're good to start.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert. Yes,
ma'am. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the home-based meetups. We're supposed to be meeting with you face-to-face, but we've decided this year, I think we're just going to continue meeting virtually for the home-based meetups and look at how we will do it next year. And hopefully we'll be meeting with you soon face-to-face because we do miss seeing everybody. The Webex new slide this time. We have our Webex housekeeping. Please know on the bottom, you can turn your microphone on and off. You can turn your camera on and off. You can chat with us. Please remember that if you enter private questions in the QA, that only we will see that. But if you put it in the chat, everyone can see that. We also have the captions there on the bottom so that you can do the captions if you like. So captions now available, and that will help you if you need that assistance. Next slide. Let's just do a quick overview. Most of you are familiar with this, so we're going to go through this pretty quickly. We have 7 systems. We have a supplemental math program, digital literacy program, which is learning.com, a supplemental math, which is Imagine Math. We have an educator evaluation system, which you're all familiar with, NCEES. We have an open education resource in Go Open, and Canvas is the statewide learning management system. We have an IIS, which is SchoolNet, and a student information system, which is PowerSchool. And it is our goal to become the definitive, seamless, go-to digital resource for North Carolina. Next slide. The purpose of these is to foster a positive interaction. You guys have heard me say since I've been here that I believe that these are extremely important in making sure that we keep up to date with the needs you have and keep you informed of what's going on. So we believe that this is extremely important, and we are really glad that you take the time to be here with us. Thank you. Next slide. Here are the registrations for the week. If you can, I know many of you wear many hats. So therefore, you may need to go into more than one home-based meetup. Please register for them. That's where you can get to all the other registrations. Next slide. And here are the dates of home-based meetups. Again, we've changed this. It is now all virtual all year. We will have another one November 15th through the 19th. Will be the next one, and then we'll have one in February and one in May. Next slide, please. This is where you will find all the presentations. Please come back to this bit.ly so that you can grab all these presentations, because I think it's important. If you can't make the meeting, you should at least see the recording and have access to these presentations. Next slide. We have a few updates I would like to give you. Really, we have one major update, and that is we are welcoming Corey McNeil to start working with us next Monday. We are very much looking forward to having him come on board. He's going to do great things for us, just like he did out in the PSUs. So we are very much looking forward to him being here, and he's going to be working with Canvas and with Go Open when he arrives next week. Next slide. We put this out at the last home-based meetups. We did not get a lot of people to take this survey. Please share this survey with everyone in your district. I'm looking at putting this link out next week on in PowerSchool so that folks can get this link, but please take time. It is very important to me that home base is everything that you need home base to be. In order to do that, we need to make sure we're moving on the right tracks with the products we have and what other products you may want. So please take 5 minutes to fill out this home base survey. It is very important to us, again, that you fill it out so we can see how we're doing and how well those products are meeting your needs. Please fill it out. If you have any issues with that, please let me know. Next slide. There are all our call signs, handles, everything we have on social media. Please review these so that you can see what we're doing out there. We love getting the likes, and we appreciate you following us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, ma'am. Next slide. I cannot say enough about this team and what they do. We are very glad to have Corey jump in. His link isn't there to his email yet because he doesn't quite have one, but I'm hoping to have that remedied very quickly. We do what I believe to be a good job helping you and reaching out to make sure you get what you need. And I do want to say I appreciate everybody's patience, including those on my team and everyone out in the field, your patience as we transition from a vacancy into a new person. I know that sometimes those things Those things take time, and I appreciate everyone's patience in working with us and just being patient. And I believe that that is all. Cam?
That is. That is. Thank you, Rob.
Very much.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Rob before we jump into the NCEES session? I don't see any coming in. All right, I'm on.
Thank you very much, Cammie. Thank you very much, all. Have a great day.
All right, I put the link to our NCEES slides in the chat. You should see some other links in there for that home-based survey that Rob mentioned and for the opening slides. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate all that you do. All right, we are in Webex meetings, and you do have a chat that you can put questions in that everybody can see. If you have any private questions for any of the panelists or DPI team, please let us know. We have several joining us from our DPI team today. We do only have a couple hours, so we'll jump right in. Again, Rob mentioned our call signs and handles and our link to our Facebook page. Every Wednesday, we try to publish every Wednesday a Did You Know from each of our products. So go check those out. Rob's already done that. So this is our agenda for today. We just did the opening slides, and now we're welcoming you to our NCEES session. We're going to have about 15 minutes of updates from me about NCEES. And then we're going to try to have about an hour of training, and we're going to talk about messaging and reporting in NCEES. And then 30 minutes of networking time. So if you guys came with any questions that you want to talk about during our networking time, we'll work that in as well. And you're welcome to
Webex.
Unmute and that was me. I think that was somebody else. All right, let me see who's not muted.
That's all right. It's Monday.
All right, we got it. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, these are your NCEES contacts. In the middle is your NCEES contacts. Well, that should say NCDPI. Dr. Dietrich is our home-based manager. I am your NCEES system side of the product consultant, and I answer all the system questions. Dr. Robert Sachs, he is in educator support, and he answers all your policy questions for NCEES. He's awesome. And then Dr. Simmons retired. So we are currently in the process, Robert's department is currently in the process of interviewing and hiring somebody for Dr. Simmons' position. So I'm hoping we have that filled in a few weeks or a couple weeks. We'll let you know when that happens. You do have some folks, and I think a lot of them are joining us today, that represent you on our home-based advisory board here at DPI, and those are Angela Cogdill from Granville County, Sherry Thomas from Guilford, Erica Newkirk from Chapel Hill Carborough, Brian Protz from Buncombe County, and Dean Richardson from Alamance Burlington. We can't say enough about what they do for us on that home-based advisory. They bring your kudos and concerns to us, and we talk about the roadmap future of NCEES. On the left, if you will, go out there and check that link. This is where we try to list all your district leads for each of our home-based products. So we have the district leads and the charter leads. Both of those are links if you have our slides open. Please update those. You can send a message to home-based email. It was linked on that page. If you need to update those, Yolanda Wilson on my team will get those updated on the website. It's also a good place for you to go when you're trying to find who to contact to help you with inactivating staff and staff UID and different things like that. We do have the NCEES email Google group that Brian manages along with Sally Reynolds in Wake County. This is an awesome networking group for you guys. Anybody that does NCEES or HR, everybody's quick to jump in and help each other out. Dr. Robert Sachs and I also kind of look in there, but we only answer only when you request us to, or only if we have like an issue that's going on that we need to update you about. Okay, we always like to do a Padlet activity, so I'm going to, well, let me get the link here for you. All right, let me put that in the chat. And during our Padlet activity, This is where you guys can unmute and say hi or just say hello in the Padlet. If you have any good news to share, if you've never used Padlet before, I don't know how many people we have new today, but if you're new, please do click the plus sign, put your name up here in the subject, and then write something incredible, it says. So please introduce yourself. And if you'd like to say hi to each other in the Padlet, that's great. Or if you want to unmute during this time. What we also do is list any successes we've had since last we met, which was July. So now you've all are got into school. Most everybody's going full force into the beginning of the school year and heading into the middle of the school year. So please list any successes you have and any challenges. I had a few questions that were listed on the registration form, so I've already put those in there. So I'm going to go mute for about 4 or 5 minutes, and please start filling out your Padlet. Let me know if you're having any trouble getting to the Padlet. I see some folks getting in there. Okay, you guys can keep typing. I'm going to go ahead and start reading out some of these so we can get through our morning. And we have some good news to share. The NCEES Google group forum is a great resource. And as I read these out, if this is yours, please let us know. And how do you get added? So there is a link on the slide. You can just email myself or email Brian Probst. He's linked on the advisory board people. Just email us and we'll be glad to add you. All right, we just have one come in for the PAINT conference. There are several of us that will be presenting at the PAINT conference in October. I believe this is in the West. There are in-person and virtual options to attend. There is the link for the PAINT conference, and we'll be sure to get that promoted out. I'm sure I could probably put that in our newsletter as well. The topic is maintaining NCEES consistency, expectations, processes, calibration tips, and resources. I'm really excited about what we're putting together for the principals. All right, and I hope I answered your question about how to get added to the NCEES Google group. Just send us an email. Thank you for those kind words. I hope that's my goal, is to support you as best we can so that you can do your job and without worrying about what's going on with the system.
And y'all, I want to second that. I want to thank Cammie. Cammie, you do a great job. I know I say it every meetup, but I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And then there's somebody that says they're thankful for this group to learn from and obtain information. We have an awesome group that works with the NCEES system. You guys are great at supporting each other. All right, let's get jumped over to the successes column. We have somebody new. Did you want to unmute and tell us who you are? Is this your first HBMU? You're in your first year? Being quiet. One of my jobs being the lead support for NCEES, and it's going well so far. Definitely learning by doing. Yep, that's the best way, is to jump in there into the NCEES system. Keeping parents happy. So here's a group that says parents are happy with the way we're handling our COVID protocol. That definitely counts. That's a big job. So yes, glad that's going well for your district. There's somebody else recently moved into this new role, and appreciate all the support of the group so far. The year is off to a great start. And another new person, my first year with teacher support and NCEES, still learning and have great support from my team. That always counts for a lot. All right. We've been hosting 30-minute lunchtime live sessions for school leaders to help them with beginning of year processes, and have gotten really great feedback about them. I would love for you to unmute and speak about that a little bit. We have a couple people that would like to hear about that. And oh, there's an email there that says she's happy to share. Looks like that's CMS. Guys are quiet today. All right, My Staff filters. Thank you for adding the filters back onto the My Staff tab. That's a huge time saver. Yep, especially if you're working with a large group, having those filters is definitely a need. Okay, challenges, the spinning icon. Waiting for the spinning icon in NCEES when I have a lot to do is really frustrating. Yes, we know we have some pages with some load time issues. The My Staff filters page, that was one of them that was recently fixed. PowerSchool jumped in there when we hollered and said, all right, we'll get it fixed. And so they had to fix the queries in the background that was causing a lot of that spinning. And so the My Staff, administration staff management, and setting admin rights should now be under 5-second load times. 90-second load times are great. I don't know if that was a sarcastic one, but it was taking up to several minutes some days before they had to put the fix in recently in the last couple of weeks. So I know our ad hoc reporting pages can sometimes be very slow. And staff groups, I noticed the other day, was being a little slow. So we'll keep working with PowerSchool to keep looking at those pages. I know they're looking at the ad hoc pages, and they are currently working on updating those as well. The way observations print is hideous. Is that the report printout? I might have to agree with that. They are looking at, and I think when we get to the new forms, they're going to look at, I know they're updating the transcript. Let me look at and see if they're updating the observation forms too as well. So this one I'll take back. All right, quick reports can be overwhelming. We are going to look at quick reports today. So I hope this, when we look at that today, that will help with this issue. And then the admin rights interface. End users struggle and admins get cranky. Who put that? I'd like to know a little bit more information about what exactly that means for the admin rights interface.
Hey, Cammie, it's Eleanor.
Hey.
That's me. You know,
Okay.
I'm gonna bring this up every single time because that interface where on
With the
administration staff
1, 2,
management,
3, 4, all that stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So where the top part where you can view the actual the existing assignments is very, very small and requires scrolling.
Yes.
The display of the demographic information makes it very difficult to navigate.
I agree.
Yeah, and it has been ameliorated a great deal with the ability to assign at the plan level or by using that access groups tab. But then it's really hard to manage once something is assigned at that level because then you can't unassign it unless you have rights to do that. So that just continues to be a struggle, particularly at this time of year. So
yeah, and I will say this is on our enhancement request list. This is one that I harp with PowerSchool about as well too. They've been doing a lot of professional development updates. I want to see some updates on the evaluator side so that it's not so clunky to work through.
It would also be nice to have something on that page that indicates to our site admins, so to principals, that option to not select anyone in step 3. So if you don't select any members, it will assign it dynamically.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of folks who aren't aware of that, and so they're clicking that button, clicking the select all, and ending up with submitting something back to us that says the rights are not being assigned to, you know, a new teacher.
The new people.
Yeah,
the new teacher. Yeah, that's another one that we've harped on. So you continue to harp on that one and see if we can get some updates on that page.
Hey,
Eleanor, I got your back on that one. So
Eleanor, this is Brian, and that was my sarcastic comment. I agree with everything you just said. Admin rights can definitely be frustrating, and I'm glad you brought that up because for new users, if you're adding rights to somebody's profile and you're selecting each and every person, by clicking that select all button, you're right. If a new teacher comes in after you've given them all those rights, they're not going to be given those rights. So it's not really intuitive, and I agree that needs to be kind of looked at.
Absolutely. Well, let me know if there's conversation around that, and I'm happy to share, you know, our use cases and experience with that. So thank you. I'm glad it's not just me.
And you come from a really tiny district, so it probably only happens like once or twice, right?
Yeah. I don't actually spend, you know, actual hours assigning rights to folks like counselors and everything else. So yeah, you're right. Minor detail, but you know, I have to bring up something.
Absolutely. Keep bringing it up. I know Cammie loves seeing, these are, by the way, Cammie, I love doing these Padlets. It's always great to get other people's feedback as to what things are frustrating for them and what their successes are. So I say keep adding it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yep. The next one was
Cammie, it's Sally.
Yes.
I was wondering if everybody could go through and hit the heart on stuff they agree with so we could get an idea of how many people agree with some of these versus if it's a one-person issue.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's a good suggestion, Sally. So like this next one has 5 people that have hearted it. So yes, you can go through and hit the heart and then we'll see how big a problem it is and maybe create a hierarchy order of what we need to address first. So this one comes up every time too. Currently an observation can't be finalized unless every element is rated. That's correct. You must check at least one tally box in each standard element before you can finalize the rubric. And yes, we did thoroughly, and I recently, toward this end of summer, early, and within the last couple months, went through with Power School support, and we dug and looked. And currently, because of the way the system is designed, there is not a way to do that little highlight thing. So like, when you set your goals, it's supposed to highlight it in yellow, and it tells you, hey, you've missed this required step. And currently the way the rubric is set up, they couldn't figure out a way to get that message in there. But this is also in our enhancement list. So I'm going to move that one over as well. But it is
we'll keep
one that we're looking at.
Sean with that one, because I think that's huge. I think a lot of us spend a lot of time replying to emails that say, "Dear principal, the reason why you can't finalize it is because element 3H hasn't been checked." Some random needle in a haystack. So I think I've put that on these Padlets for the past 2 years, and by Power School replying and saying there's just not a way. To me, that's translation. We just don't want to figure out a way.
Yeah, we're asking that, and I've also asked them to make those check boxes larger or an easier way to tell which ones are checked. So we've got 2 requests in on that. And then the next one is need an easier way to copy or create a new observation. Is this like when you change plans? Who put that one in there?
I actually did not put that one in there, but I take it as I'm going to heart that one because I think I know what the person means is starting a new observation, maybe based upon a previously completed observation. Maybe you want to start off from where you did your last observation. And in talking with Dr. Sachs about that, he's saying it's really the most appropriate way to start an observation is from a clean slate. But I still tend to think that it would be easy for our principals to say, hey, you got it to this point last time. Mm-hmm. Now let's see if you've progressed or regressed.
Okay, maybe that's something we can talk through our NCEES Nuggets group and dig into that one. Because yeah, you're right. Dr. Sachs would say you need to start with a clean slate. All right, easy way to unlock those PDPs that need an add signature edit, maybe a step-by-step direction. We do have a guide for unlocking and reopening activities. So we do have a help guide out there. And I can show you that when we get to the live system. Too many click steps for completing an observation. And Brian, if this is yours, I think you were going to try to go through and give us some examples of where we still need to fix those.
Yeah, I mean, that was mine. I don't know. We need to go back and revisit it, but really take some time in going through an observation and counting the clicks and counting the times where you're having to do what seems to be redundant locking mechanisms. If you finalize and or mark complete, then why should you have to lock? It needs, in my opinion, it needs kind of a whole new design overlay interface. Mm-hmm. It's too many clicks.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last one is a question that was put in on the registration form, how to remove retired teachers from NCEES. This one we went over in our admin beginning of year refresher. All the data in NCEES, people that you see on staff rosters, comes from your source systems. So to remove a retired teacher from NCEES, you're going to have to get your payroll to mark them inactive and upload that inactive status to Staff UID. A lot of you still call it CEDARS, but make sure when you're working with your HR people that they know to do that and that they know to leave the budget code in that provisions to NCEES. So don't remove the budget code. You need to send that active no on the budget code that put them in as active. Or the nightly person import file is just going to go right by that file and not pick up the inactive. It's got to see both that NCEES budget code and the active no to make people inactive in NCEES. Now, if your payroll updated them and they are not active in UID, you as a district admin can go in their staff profile and you can mark them inactive, and they should not show back up. If they show back up, then you know that they are still active in staff UID with the NCEES budget code. All right. Any questions about that? Let me scroll up, make sure we don't have any new ones added here. Okay. All right, and then the last one I had, move those over. Remove some demographics from the PDP. Why do we need the licensure cycle, beginning teacher, and plan type listed when they are often incorrect? It is confusing to the teacher and provides no value to the document. This is an ongoing discussion with PowerSchool and internally at DPI with Dr. Robert Sachs. We are looking at what we can keep in that demographics area and what needs to be removed. It's just that you have to be careful because a lot of reports are pulling from these items that are in here. So we need to really dig into, see what's affecting what and what we can remove. So this will definitely be on the palette for when we go to the new forms, so that when we update our NCEES requirements, we can update what actually needs to come into NCEES that you need in NCEES. That's not confusing to the teachers when your local HR data has not been updated and they're still showing as comprehensive when they're actually standard. All right, so do know that DPI is working on that.
Cami, this is Sally. That was mine. And I don't think that it needs to be removed, just hidden from the form. The user doesn't need to see it. It's no value to them. Mm-hmm. And so that's really like I don't think the recommendation is not take it out of the system, but more, okay. It just doesn't need to be seen.
Okay. Well, see, I want to say we've asked that, but let me retake that question back to them to see if they can hide it from the user level folks. All right. I do not have an update on this quick report. Let me go, I'll check on that today and see where we're at with that. Sometimes those quick reports, they ask us to pay for, so let me go see where we're at with this report request. And this is for a quick report to show who's developing or not demonstrated, and they're on a monitored or directed PDP. Okay. Somebody put on the registration coordinator training. This one I would like to see you guys add some comments to. What would all that entail? Would this just be a district administrator, a system district administrator training that doesn't include the site administrator information? If that is what you want, I would like some comments put in on that slide right there. And some of you that have hearted it, if you don't mind going back out there and putting what you would like to see in the coordinator training. And then also in the registration, we had somebody wanted to know the plans for next year, 2022, 2023 and beyond. Are we going to transition to Oracle or some other system? Are we going to continue with PowerSchool? And if so, enhancements. So you know that our NCEES contract will be up soon, 2023, I want to say. And we'll have to look at the process for that. Will it go to RFP? What's the next thing for NCEES? And then the transition to Oracle. Modernization is still in the works. You know, COVID put a lot of things on hold. HRMS is still slated to be sunset. So we'll watch for news from modernization. Somebody on your school team should be working with our DPI modernization team as well for that transition. NCEES is included on some of those conversations, but not all. And if there's any specific questions that you would like answered, email us and we'll see if we can get you in touch with Dr. Spano or somebody else on that modernization team. Okay. Thank you guys. That's some good conversation. All right. Anything else before we go back to our slides? Get this presented again. All right, so let's take a look. Yeah, we're right. Issues fixed since July. So the first one was export a plan to PDF failures. A lot of you have really liked the individual reports for export a plan to PDF for those summary evaluations at the end of the year. And it had started giving us some failures. So they fixed most of that so that you could completely run those end of year reports. They still had some additional fixes to do. And as of the 21.9 feature update, the last of those issues that they were seeing in the export a plan to PDF were fixed. So we do have some help guides on the help guides page. If you've not tried out the export a plan to PDF, please go ahead and do so and practice printing those export a plan to PDFs. We have guides out there for how to set it up for the summary evaluations, and there's another one, not sure, but there's another one that's how to set it up for another group of things. So you can export a plan to PDF and export everything that's tied to the staff in the system, or just pick and choose what you want to show in that individual PDF. I would urge almost all districts, if you could, run those at the end of the year. That's a good backup, especially when staff leave your district and they don't take their printout of their plan with them, then you'll have a copy that you can give them. The late hire plan, Sally, thank you for letting us know, was not included in the 2020-2021 quick reports or ad hoc reports. And this was due, it was left out of being tied to the rating scale ID. So it is now tied to the rating scale ID and is on PowerSchool's list to make sure that it's tied to a rating scale ID moving forward. We do have some new quick reports and that are in that list that now have the 2020-2021 dates and are set up to pick up the late hires. And then if you're creating ad hoc reports for 2020-21, there's the step to make sure you include the late hire plans. You're going to have to pick the rating period for 2020 and set a completion date of 1/1/2021 or later. And that will pull in your late hires that are still connected to you. Some of them may have moved on to other districts, but this is a way to try to go get what was missed. The administration staff management page load time issue. The first fix reverted the page back to a previous version so you can get those rights assigned. And then with the 21.9 query fixes, we then requested that the page be set back to the version with the filters. The T&L to HRMS transfer credit process has, we had a couple issues. These are now, should be fully fixed. The first one was when you approved transfer credit manager requests for credit and it went on the transcript, it was finding other courses, real courses that it thought it was a duplicate of because it was not sending a unique code for the transfer credit manager entry. Those should now be sending unique codes and should come over not as a duplicate, but as the transfer credit manager credit. The other one is for those of you that are setting up PD in your PD office and you did a single course with multiple required sections. When people completed those required sections on the same day, only one of the sections would go over because they too did not have unique codes. So as of Thursday or Friday, that should be fixed now too. And I have notified the districts that notified me of the issue, and they're going to be checking to make sure that that is now working too. We found another issue with the director role in NCEES. Had view-only access to all staff comprehensive plans. Directors should not be automatically getting access rights to people's plans. Each district decides what directors do. So you will need to manually assign the view-only rights if you want those for people with director roles to staff plans. PowerSchool did fix the issue where they were seeing comprehensive plans. The admin rights window was also allowing assignment of reopen rights on principal plans. PowerSchool corrected that, and that's in that window where you have the 1, 2, 3, 4. You should not have been able to select reopen to get to principal plans. So that's been corrected. We are working with PowerSchool to see if there's a way to make a hierarchy on this so that principals cannot assign themselves reopen rights, that should be a district administrator activity. Who gets reopen rights? The principal site administrator was getting a message of no privileges to user accounts. This was over the summer. The resulting solution was to let the principals see the My Staff user accounts page. Not My Staff. They were not seeing the My Staff staff profiles. And the way to fix that was they enabled system administration user accounts page. So DPI confirmed that when a principal went to the user accounts page, they were only seeing what they should see, and they weren't seeing what a district administrator sees. So now they can now see the profiles in My Staff as well. Okay. All right, I'll stop a minute and see if we have any questions before we move on. Okay. All right, new items since July. We have a new home-based logo, and you can now see that in the NCEES system. So we've updated the banner up there for our new brand for home base. We have begun a pilot of the new principal rubric, and there you see a list of those participating pilot districts. Dr. Sock says that's going well. He's going around training in each of the districts on the new principal rubric. Everything seems to be going well, and we hope to maybe implement the new principal rubric for the next school year. Staff profile, the Rbac button is now viewable to NCEES district administrators. You may not have really ever seen the Rbac button, but when you're in somebody's profile, if you'll scroll down, there is a button that's listed RBAC. It is role-based access control. And I could see when I clicked on it what the PD office roles were of that person and what courses that they had rights to. So we've enabled that for NCEES district administrators. So now if you're a NCEES district administrator and you work with your PD office, this is a good place to go click into somebody's profile, and it will give you a list of everything that they have access to. PowerSchool cleaned up our quick reports and updated the titles and descriptions. I want to give a reminder right now that the quick reports only pulls results from plans that are in active status. So a lot of people were running peer and mentor reports. I think, Sally, you had asked this question, and a couple other people had asked this question. Why aren't my peers and mentors showing up in the mentor and peer reports and quick reports? And then we found, PowerSchool found it was because the plan had not yet been started. So everybody has to start the plans before they show up in the quick reports. Oops. All right, and then we also updated assigning a principal, code 114, as a district administrator now keeps the system assigned evaluator rights. We do this mainly for charters because charters, we know you wear a lot of hats. You don't always have a classified person or somebody to be the district administrator for your system, but you do need a district administrator. So a lot of times you decide to assign that to a principal. And so, what we were doing is when we gave them district administrator, they lost their evaluator rights and gained reopen rights. So we were having to go back in and manually add the next day the evaluator rights back. We no longer have to do that. So now if it's a principal assigned as a district administrator, you're going to keep your evaluator rights. The NCEES training site is updated. So if you need training accounts, those are available, and here they are. Now this first link is going to go to our old list. I've updated the passwords, but if you have any trouble with those logging in, I may need to go update the passwords for those users. Just let me know if you have any issues. I'm going to pop over there and show you those. You would just grab a username and you would go to the training site and log in with the username, and the password is now train 2021. Put your name beside the group that you want to use. And if you're using it for a certain number of dates, put those in there as well. We recently held PD Office training, and these are the list of the PD Office users that are connected to a PD Office. So if you want to try out PD Office, these are some users that you can go look at the PD Office, learn how to create courses and things like that. So there's a list for that group as well. If you have any questions about using these training accounts, just email me, please. Okay, the things we're working on. We're working on that view-only role. This is the central office view-only role, and we are wanting this for your superintendents, and those are budget codes 111, 112, and 118. Just recently, last week, the reopen rights have been removed from these 3 roles. So if you assign them as a district administrator, they no longer get reopen rights. We do want them to have the view only rights. That is not in place yet. So I do have that ticket still open that removed the reopen rights. And we're working on adding the view only rights for those 3 roles. Slated for our October feature release in the staff profiles, or also known as user details page. PowerSchool is going to add 2 more editable fields. These are editable by me, by NCDPI, or PowerSchool support. And the 2 fields that are going to be editable are assume identity or impersonate somebody, and the manage staff access rights. We're going to start them off as false. So in October, and I want you to let you know now, when this goes into place, everybody that has a DA role, you're going to be set to false. So I'm going to need, and I'll work on our communication, a list of who needs to be set to true. They can assume identity and they can manage staff access rights. If it's just a couple, I can edit that for you. And if it's a bunch, we'll need a spreadsheet, and we're working with PowerSchool right now for exactly what's needed in that spreadsheet to send to PowerSchool to enable your district administrators to have the assume identity and manage staff access rights. We went with starting it off as false because we get the complaint all the time. I'm trying to assign district administrator and they have all these rights. So you have several district administrators that don't need all those rights. And there's really should only be 1, 2, depending on how your district is, 3 or 4 people that can assume identity or manage staff access rights. So stay tuned for more information on that. We've also requested that the superintendent roles not have the DA ability to archive or delete active plans. So that one is in requested. PowerSchool is currently looking at that. Can that be in those editable fields that won't be in the October release? But they're looking at, can they add it there, or is there another way to handle that? DAs also get access to those ad hoc reports to create ad hoc reports. We're leaving that because we figured there might be a small district with a district administrator, this is the superintendent, that wants to create a report. So opening this for discussion. Does anybody have any comments or discussion on this?
Hey, Candy, it's Eleanor.
Yes.
This is just for the district administrator role?
Yes. So when you're assigning a district administrator role, currently it can be assigned to anybody. I've ran a report. There's some beginning teachers out there with it. There's principals out there with it. There's all the different roles that people have been assigned as district administrator.
Yeah, at CMS, we don't actually use this role because we have not found a way to kind of manage it effectively at the level that we would like to. It would be really helpful. So for example, our learning community superintendents this would be really helpful for that, for them to be able to drill down and so forth to see the things that are in their scope. Has there been any discussion or any more discussion about similar roles for assistant principals? So the question we get a lot is, can we allow our assistant principals some, but not all of the site administrator functionality? specifically around running reports and specifically around assigning rights for peers and mentors, but not and observers, but not all of the other stuff that goes along with site administration.
So that is, as far as I know, the only thing that goes with site administration. What else were you finding that they got that they shouldn't have gotten?
Well, the thing is that we can't currently assign our APs that site administrator role just by the way it's set up with our imports. So I was just wondering if it has to be kind of a one-by-one thing that goes on behind the scenes.
And you want it done on the import.
I'm just wondering if that has come up. It wouldn't necessarily.
It hasn't really. Can you add that to the Padlet? Because usually most districts want to manually assign their principals, assistant principals, with the roles that they should have. Does anybody else have any comments about that?
Yes, I do. I think in previous discussions around this, districts do so many different things that there's not a one way fits all with APs.
For the import.
For us, we want the APs to have all of the rights. And so we assign them, and it's,
one by one.
It's a pain, but you have to do it one by one. But the reason why they can't just have the rights like a principal is because we found that they had the ability to see all of the AP principal evaluations when they were treated just like a principal. But then there's other counties, and I don't know if Angela's on, I think Granville's one, where they don't want them to be full-fledged evaluators, but more of observers, as the principal still does the summary. I may have the wrong county on that, but there was definitely not a one-size-fits-all agreement, and is why I think it's just been left how it's been left.
Yeah. Thank you, Sally. You said it so much more clearly and eloquently than I did, and I appreciate the additional context. But that's it. I know that we've had this discussion over the years as far as different roles, so I was just wondering if that might fit into what the current district administrator conversation is.
Right. So currently when you change an AP to a site administrator, they don't get any access to plans. That still has to be manually done. They only get the access to the reporting tab and to the My Staff page, which then essentially they could probably assign themselves some rights.
And Cammie, they can assign it themselves.
Yes.
Like, so we basically say, all right, we made you the site administrator. Now go assign yourselves the evaluator.
Right. Right. So that's what we're working with PowerSchool to stop that. So they cannot assign themselves. Yeah.
Site administrators do get evaluator access.
No.
Evaluators, right?
No, not unless they have budget code 114. If you have examples of that, I need to see those.
Okay, so this would not be in NCEES, so this may be a different. This may be.
Okay.
But I'll follow up with you.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Did I cover all that? Yes. We're also working on PD only access to NCEES. Currently, this is in our test system. We're adding a current staff position of support. Currently, all our staff come in on the import file is instructional, and that includes your teachers, your counselors, anybody that's not an administrator. And the other staff position is administrative. So we're going to add support to handle the budget codes for those that only need to access PD. However, this is going to add additional staff to the My Staff roster page. And these are staff that would not be evaluated in the online tool, that would not be assigned access rights to plans. So I'm currently QAing what happens if you're the evaluator lead. Can we use those filters to hide the support staff from your roster list? And can we make it so that it holds, so that as district administrators when you're assigning your plan types, you can hide everybody that came in under support and expect that filter to hold so that you don't have to hide them every day. So we've had a lot of requests from a lot of districts to get this PD only access in, but we really don't want to make your work harder if you're working with only the evaluation side of the system. That is the main purpose of the NCEES evaluation system. However, we also understand that a lot of staff need to get to those ECATS courses, MTS courses, and several other things. So if you have any concerns, please speak up about that. We are currently piloting this with our DPI EC department. So we're currently defining those EC budget codes that would bring additional EC staff in to take the PD. The other issues we need to look at as we're setting this up is there are roster seat limits and licensing in Canvas. So we have to be careful. How many additional staff are we bringing in? How many people can be on the roster at one time? And then how many licenses do we have left in Canvas? All right, let me close it. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions on that. If you think of any, please let me know. Are you guys good with us allowing PD only users in the system?
This is Brian. I absolutely am looking forward to that because Sally just tells me to change everybody's object code to 121. Sally's going, what?
Sally,
I didn't tell you that.
No. Okay. All right, we're getting right on.
Don't drag me into your dysfunction, Brian.
All right. So we've had a lot of good discussion, and we need to get into our training portion of the session. So if we don't have any other questions, I appreciate the comments I see in the chat. I see Cleveland County is also saying they want to control the rights the APs have. So we'll continue to look at that and see exactly what they have. All right, so we're going to look at messaging and reporting in NCEES. We're going to look at the staff evaluations page and then the reporting page and how to schedule reports in the PD playlist. So I'm just going to quickly go through the slides and then jump to the live side. So the staff evaluations tab, we're going to look at messaging and emailing people and the reports that are out there on staff evaluations. So I've left you slides in here, and we're going to actually go to the live side and look at this, but it shows you how to message people and email people, and then how to email from within an observation. So let's see if we can get out to NCEES. All right. Trying to remember who my principal is. Let's try this one. Just a little spinny circle. All right. We're going to click into staff evaluations. And here I see a list of this principal's staff. And you can message people from this page. Over here on the left are boxes that can be checked. And you won't say, well, check for what? If you scroll all the way down the page, you see this button that says message all, or this grayed out button that says message. So if I don't want to message everybody on this page and I only want to message a couple people, now look, when I check the box, you guys can see that, the message button activated. So now I'm only messaging just the ones I checked if I use the message button. If I click message all, it's going to give me everybody that's on this page. So maybe I only want to message the people with abbreviated plans. I clicked add filter. I want to do active plan is equal to my abbreviated plans. And I click update table. And now if I were to message all, I would just get my 3 people that are on the abbreviated plan. Anybody need to see that filter process again? All right, so I'm going to leave my boxes blank because I only want to message my abbreviated people, and I'm going to click message all. I can put in a subject. It's going to say this is going to 3 users. And do I want a copy of this sent to myself? I do. I can add other emails by clicking add. It has to go to somebody in the system. So just search for their name and you can add other people that are in NCEES. All right, then who do I want it to show as being from? It's going to be coming from no reply at PowerSchool. There's no way to change that now. I think we used to have that, and PowerSchool updated, and now it comes from no reply. If this is a message you don't want replied to, then you can put a message in here that says, don't reply to this message. And then how do I want the message sent? If I send it by announcement, when do I want the message to stop showing? And so I would pick a date. I can also deliver it to the email, and it's going to deliver to the email that's in NCEES. So make sure it's coming in correctly from your source system. Our source systems for emails are PowerSchool SIS is the authority source. We do have staff in here that are not in SIS. So the next place it looks is in your HR data. So make sure your HR data has the correct email address in it. And then put your messages in here. Now, Sally has shared us a link. So Sally, can I share this link with everybody? Or do you want to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a draft, like a very rough draft, everyone. So please don't judge on the beauty of the document.
Well, let me copy it. Let's try this again. If I just, that's an editable link. Do you want to make that view only? Or is that just for me? Because I have access to it. All right, so this link that I'm putting in the chat is to generic email. So here's a generic email for training and orientation. Can y'all see that on the screen? Looks like I lost my bar. Okay, here's training and orientation. Here's the PD self-assessment. Thank you, Sally, for coming up with these. So Sally sends these out. Do you want to speak to how often you send these out, Sally?
So it just depends on the time of the year when it would be appropriate to send out. I typically don't send them out the day after something's due. Give a little bit of grace of a couple of weeks so that truly the emails are catching the people that are really, really behind, not as a gotcha, like you're one day late. Principals don't always love these messages because if they are really far behind, a lot of their teachers get these and then go, oh my gosh, this is overdue. It's on a report. And so the way for them to not have those messages is to keep up to date. But so that it's not a gotcha for them as well, I publish all of the dates of when the emails are going to go to staff and who's going to get them so that at least the principals know they're coming. When the principals like them is when it's those first two around orientation and self-assessment, because that's all on the teacher to complete those. And so it helps the principal to get those completed quicker sometimes that someone from HR is sending a reminder.
Thank you, Sally. So I just copied one of those generic worded emails. And I just pasted it in the message box, and then I just click send. This is for our training account. So now if you selected announcement, it's going to put a red circle on the envelope icon up here. It's also going to show up on their, I want to say the My Evaluations page. Yep, My Announcements. So when they go to their evaluations page, the announcement will show up there as well. All right, does anybody need to see those steps again? This is an awesome way to communicate and filter down to who you're going to communicate to on the staff evaluations page.
Hey, Cami, would you show setting a second and third filter and how that narrows it down?
Yeah, I can do that. Let's see. I want everybody on an abbreviated plan. I'm going to add another filter. Maybe I want everybody that let's look at the rubric from my staff, equal to, let's see what's down here. Let's see, I only want to send to the counselors. Well, there's an issue. I have an abbreviated plan, but this is a school counselor on comprehensive. So make sure when you're on this page that these match up. These are my training accounts, so they're not going to match up. So we're going to select counselors. Oh, no, can't comprehensive. And update the table. So you can continue to narrow down by using these filters. Maybe you also, let me clear these filters out and update my table. Maybe you want everybody on the comprehensive plan. We're going to add the active plan is equal to comprehensive. And you can choose to add filters, all the filters first, and then update your table, or do them one at a time. I'm going to add, maybe I want to know everybody that has completed their training and orientation, or not completed. I want them, let's do not equal to completed, and update the table. So now I have my list of folks that have not completed their orientation, and I can email everybody a reminder that your orientation needed to be complete by such and such a date. Okay. Keisha, does that help? I see you wanted to see that again. If you were to check this box and just click message, you're going to get that same form that we looked at when we did the message all. Okay. All right, I'm going to clear my filters. The other thing we have out here is your evaluation completion report. It's under this graph icon, evaluation completion report. And then you do have to select a plan type. You won't run for all your plan types. So I'm the principal. So let's do comprehensive. I do not want to have all these fields listed in my report down here. I only want to know who started certain areas, so I can deselect all, and then you have to check something. So maybe I want to know who's done training and orientation, who is this first activity locked, meaning they've done the formal observation and all the signatures are in place. And then I can refresh the data. And I have everybody that's on a comprehensive evaluation. I get percentages up here at the top. There are 3 in progress. Nobody is complete with the overall evaluation. All these pluses you can click in and play with and see who's where. So I have 1 person that has not started their training and orientation, and 2 that have completed training and orientation. Same thing with observation 1. Close that up. You can also look individually right here. You can look down below. I like this overall status. This does show active and inactive plans. So if this says not started, they have not started their plan that has been assigned. If you were to run all your reports, comprehensive, standard, abbreviated, and you have somebody's name showing up on each plan, then they have more than 1 plan assigned. Here you have a download your CVS. So there's where you get your spreadsheet. This is a good report to run at the beginning of the year, middle of the year. Just make sure everybody is where they need to be. Some people have had success with highlighting and copying this and getting it to come over with the colors. If not, just download your CSV and then use your formatting or conditional formatting to highlight those areas for complete or not started. All right, any questions about the report on the staff evaluations page? While you're in a plan, you can also email people from the observation. Let's see if I can get one. Did I open the PDP? This might have something in it, but let me see. Yes. All right. So on the main activities in your observations or in your PDP reviews, over here on the right, you're going to see an email icon. It's another area where you can individually email. Maybe you want to email everybody that's connected to that plan or has access to that plan. So everybody that has access to that plan will be listed over here. This is the teacher. I want to email the owner of the plan. I want to email their mentor. And maybe I want to email another principal that has access to this plan. Just check who you want to email. It has macros to put the owner's name and what the plan is. You can edit any of that. You can again put your text message here and send your email. So just different areas where you can send those emails out. Okay. All right, any question about that portion, the staff evaluations page? So we looked at emails and messages on the staff evaluations, how to check a box to do an individual message or leave them blank to message all, how to use your filters to narrow down the list first, how to send out the message. Here's a message all. It does tell you how many people it's targeted to. So watch that and make sure you selected who you wanted to select. And then how to CC yourself and copy to others that are in NCEES. And then how to send your message by email or by announcement. We looked at going into a plan and finding the main activity, and they have email icons as well. All right. We went through all those steps. We did going under the graph icon on the staff evaluations page, running those evaluation completion reports. And here I have the steps on deselecting all those check marks and then only checking what you want to see in your report, and how to use that first column to determine if people have unstarted plans. You can also, I didn't show you, but there's also a little PDF icon up at the top right. If you don't want to download the spreadsheet, you could download a PDF as well. We did not look at download CSV, but that's another area that you can filter the page and then download what is showing on your page. So do use that download CSV. There is a max, or there used to be a max. I haven't checked lately, and I don't know if Sally's checked lately, but there was a max of 5,000 plans if you're trying to run for a large number of folks. Okay. I got some comments. Thank you. Max of 5,000 is correct, and the principals love the evaluation completion report. Good. I'm glad you got the principals running that report. So it's a great report to run. So we also have the reporting tab that's available to district administrators and site administrators. Here is the link to the help guide for managing and scheduling quick reports. So we're going to jump over to the reporting tab in just a minute. Here are some questions, and I stole from our tips and tricks webinar last year. Some of the questions that we kind of reviewed: are your staff completed all their plan activities per suggested calendar due dates? Do we have staff who are active in more than one district? Have I assigned all the mentor relationships? Remember, the plans have to be started. Are observations following guidance for start and end times? Are the orientation dates within the first 10 days of your school hire date? Do PDPs of beginning teachers have their mentor signatures? Are all peer observations assigned? And how many pre and post conferences are signed by the evaluator instead of the teacher? Most of that should be fixed now where they cannot do that. And then, do my staff have more than one active evaluation plan? And here are the reports that you can run on the quick reports page. We're going to go look at those in just a minute. PowerSchool worked really hard over this summer with me to update the titles and to update that list so you didn't have to scroll through so many reports. But we're going to be navigating to reporting, the quick reports module in the reports container. And then we're going to look at some reports. And one of those is going to be your evaluation completion exception report. You can do the current year or select year. Here's a new screenshot of what that looks like under quick reports. The evaluation completion exception report. When to run that? We talked with a lot of districts and they say they like to run it in November, January, March, or May. You can export it to a PDF. You can download a TSV or a CSV. It's going to show the educator's completion status of observations 1, 2, and 3 and peer, in addition to when those summary evaluation conferences are completed. So here's just a quick look of what it looks like. And you can see what areas are not started. Now, if it's an abbreviated plan and they don't have observation 3 or 4, it's going to say not started, or it's not going to show completed or in progress. So, but it is an awesome report to show you who's completed, who's in progress, and who's not started an activity in a plan. All right, and then we're also going to look at managing quick reports and scheduling quick reports, and that was what that help guide was for. You can schedule quick reports to run on certain dates so that you don't always have to remember, and it will email you the report when it's ready. Let's go look at that. See what time we got. 11:19. We're good. All right, so this is going to be under reporting. All right, and we're in the reports container. This top report you can run. I'll let you go play with that. This is going to give you percentages of who's completed in what activity. Principals may like to go out there and look at this, or district administrators, it'll run for all your schools. You can actually select a school to run for. But what we want to look at today is your quick reports. So we're going to click that top box and we're going to select quick reports. All right, and then it's going to load up our reports. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. All right, and so if you look at the list, it is now updated. You're going to see 2 of almost every report. That's because you can run a report for current year and you can run a report for select year. Maybe you want to run a report for last year. However, we needed the current year reports to stay in here. You can pick the current year and the select year. The current year report needed to stay in here because we need those to be able to schedule reports. So you're going to see 2 of every report because we had to leave one so that we could schedule it. We cannot schedule the select year reports. Okay. And here's the evaluation completion and exception report. I'm not going to run. Well, I do have I'm running for him. Okay. So you just click into it. You're going to click done. Sorry, I forgot I was still impersonating somebody. And hopefully that will run. And there it is. And here's everybody on their role, their plan, late hire, standard, abbreviated, comprehensive, and where they're at in their plan statuses. This person hasn't started, this one's completed, orientation and training, and so on. So a very handy report. And there are several reports in here that are good to run at the beginning of the year. So go through here, and I don't know if anybody wanted to jump in and say what reports you're running right now. What are good reports that you like out here? The observation start and end times are out here. The mentor relationship reports are out here. Remember, the plans have to be started. A lot of people like these individuals who belong to sites in more than one district. This is going to help you know who you need, what other district you need to contact, because if they're active in more than one district, both districts school names are going to show on their plans. And that causes issues down the road if you need to print a report for the plan. DPI can't do it for you if there's more than one school listed in that plan. All right, and then individuals who belong to more than one site within your district, that's going to let you know, well, did I forget to inactivate somebody that was at school A and now they're at school B, or really, are they working for both school A and school B? So it's a good report to help determine those. At the end of the year, those evaluation summary reports, PDP signature completions, and mentor signature dates that we talked about earlier. And then here are I want to find the 2021 reports that were created for those late hire plans. Okay, I'm going to come back to reporting. And we want to look at scheduling a report. So that is down under the My Report section. And I want to manage my reports. And I want to schedule, it says scheduled quick reports. So it will show you what reports you already have scheduled. But you also go here to create a new schedule report. So I'm going to go create schedule quick report. And then I have the list of those current year reports to choose from. Here's a plan that districts can run to see which plans have deactivated this year. I'm just going to do my activity lock report. I need to title it. And then if I want a date to show up in here, so what do I want my file name to be? And I have the date. What date do I want it to start exporting? When do I want it to run? So I'm just going to choose today. What time do I want it to run? Maybe at 2 p.m. Do I want this to reoccur? And then do I want it to do daily, weekly, monthly, or specify additional dates? Maybe I want this to run monthly. And then just fill in how often you want it to run. Do I want it to run on the 10th day of every month? Or do I want it to run on the second Tuesday of every month? And then when do I want it to end, or just leave it blank and it will never end? Do I want it to run after it's printed maybe 7 times? Or do I want it to run in by a certain date? Maybe I just want it to run through June. Okay, and here you can put in emails. It doesn't have to be in NCEES. Just comma separate who should get this report. Skip over all the FTP stuff. You don't need any of that. And then we're going to click add. Oh, I didn't put my email recipient in here. Okay. The system is not set up. If you guys have your own FTPs, it's not set up to deliver there. And now it's scheduled. Looks like I'm seeing everybody, maybe because I'm at state. Or if you guys see everybody, you can probably filter by the date. Some of these you can click on. Created by. All right, so you can filter by created by or by the name of the report. Okay. Any question about how to schedule those reports? You do have a help guide that you can go to as well. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to the slides just a minute. And then I know we have some of you on here that are using our professional development office. But this one, the PD playlist, You do not have to be connected with the PD office to utilize the PD playlist. You just have to let DPI, myself, know who needs to moderate your PD playlists. These have been gaining more and more people that really like these, because you have staff that need to complete those ECAS courses or MTSS courses, CTE courses. Maybe you've created a list for beginning teachers. But this is an awesome dashboard for you to see who has completed those courses. So we're going to look at that here. I do need to assign the first one. So the PD playlist moderator is who I need to assign. And then when they create a PD playlist, can add other moderators or curators who just manage the roster, but they don't manage the playlist itself. If you're adding credit to a playlist, you might need a credit approver. You can set up your playlist to have as many courses in it as you need, and you can require the courses or you can make them elective. Doesn't make them start the courses, but the playlist will not show complete until they meet the rules set in the plan. So if you look at this top arrow, I'm saying I have a list of 6 courses, and you must complete 2 that are required, and you must complete 2 of the 4 elective courses for the playlist to show complete. I did want to show you a lot of districts are using this for our ECATS courses. So you have these tabs out here, the details tab, the participants, courses, discussion, if you want to enable discussions. You must have the moderator needs to follow up on those. Notifications, those are emails that go out, and then the status. And this is this screenshot at the bottom. So this one has 12 courses and 57 participants have been assigned. So you can either publish your playlist and say go sign up for it, or you can actually assign participants to your playlist. Once they're in there, you can go to the status tab and you can see here are all the courses. This first person has only done the first course. They are behind. They have not completed any other courses. The second person has completed everything but this course at the very end. You can also issue a certificate that's an extra certificate. It's a PD playlist certificate if you would like to set up your playlist with that. But do know that as they complete each one of these courses, they are getting on their transcript the certificate that comes with the course. Right, so I'm going to go jump out real quick and show you PD playlists. Let me stop impersonating. And I'm going to show you one. I can't remember if it's ELS or ESL. Yeah. So this is one that DPI has created, and they have people that need to complete the ECATS courses. What they would do is go and create PD playlists, but I just wanted to show you the different areas. So you would create a PD playlist. You would fill out this form. You would give it a title. You would give it a description, a start date, end date if you want an end date. Do you want this in the course catalog for people to go sign up for it? If you don't, just leave that blank. Do you want to enable a certificate for them completing this playlist? You do not have to. The main moderator will already be here, and then they can add additional moderators or remove who they've added. You can add curators that are only going to keep track of the participants. And then you can add any materials, and you're going to click save. So this one, they did not assign any extra credit for completing a playlist. You're going to add your participants. Yep, so I'm not going to, sorry about that. I'm not going to show it because it's going to show their name, their ID, and then everybody there. You're going to add the courses. And here's where you're going to add courses. It's going to go look for what's in NCEES. So it's going to be all your DPI courses that have been published in NCEES. And if you're using a PD office, you can have your own. Maybe you've got a book study that runs 6 times a year that they need to attend all 4 of 6 sessions or all 6 sessions. Go ahead and add those in a playlist. And you can decide whether it's required or whether it's an elective by clicking on these bullets. All right, and then if you want to have a discussion board for the playlist, you would manage it. The moderator would manage that. So decide if you want to use that. Most people are not using the discussion board, but you can. And then notifications. If you're going to add people manually, do you want to send them a message? So you would check the box to send the message to the participants when they're added, give it a title, give it a message. How do you want it sent? Just like we did earlier, by targeted announcement or by email and targeted announcement, or only to their email. And do you want to send them a message when they complete the playlist? And you type all that in, decide how it's going to get sent. All right, you can send these messages from whoever the PD playlist moderator is, or just by the no reply at PowerSchool. And then finally, you have the status tab. And you must release your playlist before you're going to have people showing progress on the status tab. If you add people after the playlist has begun, it sometimes does take 24 to 48 hours to update them on this list. So keep that in mind. If you have any issues with that, just open a ticket and we'll jump right on that and make sure that it's updating like it should. So here you just go through. I'll show you this as it doesn't have UIDs, but you can see who's completed what courses and who has not started. All right, so that's another way to track and kind of a report that you can use for who has completed required courses that you are requiring them to take. All right, so just email me or open a ticket if you want to be a PD playlist moderator. Shonda, I see your message, so we'll add you. It doesn't take overnight for that to show up, but it sometimes does take 15 or 20 minutes for it to show up. All right, we're going to go back to our slides. Okay, it's networking time, so you guys can unmute and talk to each other. If you don't have any questions, we'll wrap up today. But this is your time. Is there any questions you have? I didn't go over any beginning of year stuff this time because most of you are through that process. But if you have any questions that we can generically answer, please unmute or tell me you need to be unmuted or put it in the chat. Practice my teacher wait time, right? So I might have a question out here. Let me. What is the date you will need the names of district administrators who need all rights? We haven't determined that yet. We are working with PowerSchool because we want to make sure it's fully tested before it goes in that October release. And we will develop either a form that you can submit that on. We will have some way for you to let us know what we need and by what date we need it. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Let me give you your, we do appreciate your feedback. So let me put that in the chat before you go. Please do fill out our feedback. It also comes with the option to elect to receive a certificate, that 0.1 CEU, for those of you that are certified and keep up with those CEUs. Is it limited to one person having all the rights? Connie, is that for PD playlists? You can add more than one I can add more than one moderator for your district if you want somebody to be the overall moderators for the playlist. In general. Is that for the district administrators that has all the rights? Yes. All right. So we advise that you have the main district administrator and at least one backup district administrator. So that when somebody leaves, somebody else is out there and you don't have to ask DPI to assign another district administrator because there's still somebody with those rights that knows how to manage the system. So at least two. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you guys for coming out today. I'm going to hang on just a few more minutes. So we've got about 20 minutes to give back to you. Okay, you're welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for the first home-based meetup of the week. Please join us for the rest of the week. Tomorrow, I want to say is SchoolNet, so please go join us for that, and we appreciate y'all coming out today. I'm going to stop the recording, and you guys have a great